Let me tell you about a story. Now we met a dog bound about their law enforcement, a right bunch of clowns. How they wear their badge like a plastic crown. How they stick into a story of which they are now bound. It's a rabbit hole they don't want you to go down. But over in Wisconsin, they're doubling down. See, they framed him once, then they did it again. They did not count on.
Hello, everybody.
Making MAM. They thought their lives were safe, all went by the ruse. They did not figure on 19 million views. It'll make you shake your head and probably frown. But over in Wisconsin, they're doubling down. I said they'll double down, and they'll triple down. They're headed down a road which they cannot turn around. They walk around like they'll be home free, because they control all the evidence on the
Just sharing this on Twitter real quick, folks. I'll be right back.
It's as plain as day. It doesn't matter what the state or the guilters say, because we got Kathleen.
Hello, everybody.
She's a real life hero, turning wrongs to right. No matter how hard that state's capital pounds. Over in Wisconsin, they're coming down. I said.
All right. Hello, everybody. How you doing? So, pretty exciting stuff today, don't you think? What came out today? What Zellner was doing today? That was brilliant. I mean, personally, I think what she did was brilliant. And for those of you who don't know, she had like basically a viewing where everybody sat down at the same time wherever they were. It was just everybody agrees to be at the same time, which happened to be 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which was 1 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm not sure quite how it translated to the rest of the world, but she had this thing where everybody arranges to sit down and watch episode 5, and she sat there on Twitter and answered people's questions the entire time. It was pretty cool, and there was a lot of questions that were kind of like, you know, but then there was a lot of questions I thought were good, and sometimes her answers were just so good it didn't even matter what the question was. But hi guys, hello, hi in Scotland. Bungaree. So, anyways, that was exciting today, and so what I thought we'd do today is I'm figuring out my software here a little bit more. Hi Australia, hello Justin, hi everybody. So I'm figuring out this software now better, how this software works, that I'm using to stream to you guys, and so now I've got it figured out how I can show a web page, and so we can go through some of the tweets of some of the questions and answers that were coming into Zellner today. Sorry if it looks like I'm looking up. I'm looking up at another monitor. I have 2 monitors. Sorry everybody. But we can go through those tweets and her answers to them and stuff today, and it'll be kind of cool. I do have to look up to read your guys' comments, unfortunately. So, you know. Anyway, so it was pretty cool. So what I can do is we can go into. There was quite a few things that I thought were cool. I found out today while she was doing this little question and answer thingy that Bobby's blazer has been crushed. I didn't know that. I was like, really? It's been crushed, of all things. I don't know. That was interesting. I was a little bit curious about that and why it was crushed, the circumstances leading to that happening. But to be fair, man, when I was there in June in Wisconsin, I mean, the whatever the stuff they use on those roads in the wintertime and stuff for the snow and everything to melt the snow and everything is just brutal on the cars, because I swear about 1 in 5 cars you could look at, and the rear wheel wells on the car were like they look like jagged rusty metal, essentially, like they were rotting away, the wheel wells, and from the stuff they put on those roads. So maybe it was just to the point of having to be wrecked. But who knows? But Joe's Classic Video Games, a little skeptical, but she's really proved. Yeah. Oh, certainly. She's got so much. It hasn't been just a little tiny bit. I've been covering it the whole way. So, I mean, I've been knowing all the time. But there's just a lot there. And it's not. It's unanswered, really. A lot of people are leaning that way right now, and that may be the way to lean. I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn. I want the person who was harassing Teresa. I want to know who that was. I don't want to commit myself to anything until I know who that was. And I know more about that person. Tin roof rusted. Yeah, salt in the sand. Yeah, it's brutal. Like I said, it was like 1 in 5 cars I saw where the rear wheel wells were just shot out when I was there in June. Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And she's bringing in the best experts, the top people in their field. I'm not kidding. Stuart James, Chris Palahniuk, Mr. McCrary, her FBI guy who's her expert on investigations. She's not bringing in second-rate anything. She is bringing in the straight primo stock. She's bringing in the top of the line. Top of the line. And she's not messing around. Basically do their own, Bondo it before it gets really bad. That's probably not a bad idea. Hi, Joy. Have I read the Queso report? I've read lots of stuff in the Queso report. Have I read every single page? Maybe I've missed some things here and there, but generally speaking, I've read everything in there. Can't tell you I can remember it all very well, but yeah, I've read Queso. Love watching Zellner dissect the case. Brennan needs to be freed. Yeah. Oh yeah. How many people could be? Yeah. Well, and it's funny. You got people now. Kind of a small number of people on the list who are unwilling to go in and try to take themselves off of the list. So that's interesting as well. I think we had over 10,000 pages. Queso was about 1,100 pages actually. It's long. It's a lot of reading. Did you see what Scott? I did. Scott obviously is feeling the strain of the scrutiny that Zellner has put on him and Bobby, and that's definitely what that was. As I said, everybody, presumption of innocence. I honestly cannot, like, I won't even accuse, like I said, I won't even accuse Ryan. I won't make like outright accusations against Ryan. I'll just point out what's fishy. That's what I'll do. That's what I do. So in terms of that, yeah, he's reacting to the pressure of the situation, and that's definitely what that was. Wonder Woman flew in her invisible jet to Wisconsin. Yeah, many people have made that what's it called, connection of her and Wonder Woman. It's not the first time. Well, yeah, the ones actually responsible for this right now are going to be crapping their pants. They certainly are. They're going to start. If they're going to watch MAM2, they're going to go, holy crap! She's not taking any prisoners. She's got unlimited resources. She's going to go after this like a dog for a bone. We're screwed. You know, I mean, whoever's responsible for this right now has got to be thinking that. I love when you say that. We certainly can't have double standards. Absolutely. I can't in good conscience start accusing and being all accusatorial to the people who I want to accuse, maybe in this case and stuff, and still complain about the fact that Stephen wasn't given his presumption of innocence. I feel dishonest if I do that. It just makes me feel dishonest. So that's why I conduct myself in a very particular way. I know it's frustrating for some people, but I do it on purpose, and it's with reason. Her point that Bobby and Scott did it, and then the cops came at the same time and moved her car using Ryan, unaware that Bobby and Scott. Right. That's what she's thinking. That actually the cops were just unaware of the fact that it was Bobby and Scott. They just didn't even know that the blood inside of there, that Zellner is saying that Bobby and Scott, or Bobby and or Scott planted in there, that the officers wouldn't even have known that blood, whose blood that was going to be at that point in time. So yeah, that is her theory, that they were just so eager to get it on Avery, since it was kind of detached from anything else, parked on a highway. I don't know. It's what it seems like to me anyway. Yeah, Scott could do with a little bit of anger management, I think, possibly. Yeah, he's like I said, he's feeling the strain, and he lost his temper a little bit, and to be honest, which one of you could say if a bunch of people on social media were accusing you of being a murderer, or helping and aiding and abetting a murderer, and all that sort of stuff, and people were all over you on your social media to where you couldn't get on in the morning and post your funny meme or your favorite this or that, or go to your this or that, without a bunch of people piling on and just making it impossible for you to do anything on social media. Imagine how hard that would be for you. I mean, and I'm not saying have sympathy. I'm just saying it explains how he would get a little bit, over this. It's all an if at this point. Correct. And that's the thing about talking about all this stuff, is that you got to try to remember that most of this stuff is all just ifs. It's why I try to make my videos, when you go through my catalog of videos, it's why I have my videos featuring documents. The documents, videos, things that are irrefutable, and that sort of thing like that, because I want as much of that in there as possible, so that people can see that it's not just me up here talking and saying stuff. You know what I mean? So thank you, Megan Crowley. You wouldn't want Effie then? Yeah, that's what I mean. The call was the day after. Yes, that's correct. Thomas is right about that. I wouldn't use the C word on a woman if I was being accused. Well, yeah. Well, he does make some unfortunate decisions. I can't deny that. No one should be contacting anyone from this case. And that's what it comes down to too. Would you guys believe me if I told you that I would not have any contact with the family if they hadn't contacted me first? Because it's true. I did not seek to have any contact with anybody in this case. I just picked up case documents and picked up the trial transcripts and things like that, and I went on YouTube and I just started doing what I could because it just seemed like the right thing to do. And the reason why is because I'm not looking to get caught up in the family stuff, really. I want to help, but I'm not, trying to, clog up the works of their daily lives and that sort of thing. So I just never sought that. It wasn't, and think about it. And the reason why I think about it a lot is because just think what it would be like if you were suddenly inundated by thousands of people, on social media or this or that or whatever. And it just would be very tough. And so I myself never ever sought to make contact with any family or anything like that. But it did just kind of happen over the course of me doing some videos. I was contacted by a family member at one point when I was in Wisconsin. I ended up meeting basically the whole family. Except for Al, which was a bummer. I really like Al. I really wanted to meet Al. That was like the one person I really wanted to meet, but oh well. So I agree with that nobody should really be contacting anybody from this case. I know it's tempting and everything, but it's better to just research and find the stuff that's useful. The kind of dogging people on social media and stuff, it's really kind of counterproductive. Someone's family contacted you? No, not someone's family contacted me. I'm saying that I never personally sought contact with the family in this case. Me personally, I never did. In reference to what a commenter was saying above about people shouldn't contact the family, that's something I was saying, is that, I personally never did seek to contact the family. In 2 years, going on 2.5 years now of researching this case and being on YouTube and talking about this, I never did. But like I said, when I was there in June for the rally recently, I did end up meeting the whole family. But I don't know. I always try to stay away from that sort of stuff, and that's all I was trying to explain. So I don't want to get too bogged down in that. Kratz makes me feel dirty. Yeah, there's a funny post on Facebook right now that it was funny because this post came around back in the days, back like in 2016 when Making a Murderer first came out, and it's a drawing that somebody made of Kratz, and he's got a big pot belly and tiny little legs, and he's wearing a G-string, and it's gotta be one of the most disgusting things you could ever see, right? And so somebody posted that in the group, and the comments proceeded to be gifs of like people throwing up and emoticons of people throwing up, and I know you weren't, Carol, no worries, and people throwing up. It was just like everybody that came on that post looking at that picture was putting up gifs and pictures of like people throwing up. It was hilarious. But yeah, Ken invokes that reaction from people. I was listening to the Sheriff's Department original cells in the TH case, and there's a lot of interesting call-ins about other girls' body turning up at the same time. Yeah, there is. There's Karma Boutwell, who is kind of, she's been kind of possibly theoretically connected to this case. There is a school of thought out there, people who maintain a school of thought out there that the bones are Carmen's actually, and just enough were taken, and then to where they could give the family back a certain percentage of what it was, and it was, so there's a theory that goes along those lines. You can find it out there. One thing, a major thing I noticed is that women taking a call from the officer off duty inquiring about the other body at the other department. Yeah, that's probably Carmen Boutwell. Okay, ooh. Cats just can't stay out. No, he can't. Hello from Chicago. Okay, hi Sela. Would you put your money on Eric? My money on Eric. I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean, Chris. Grant. Carmen Boutwell is KSO 2017 report 2. Yes, Carmen Boutwell was mentioned in the report because Barb was going to come over to the yard to give KZ the Carmen Boutwell's family's phone numbers, her parents, basically, his phone numbers and stuff. So, yeah, it is mentioned. CB has a memorial service at the Sipple Funeral Home. Oh, okay, cool. Anybody that lives in Wisconsin, Justin Avery just said there's going to be a memorial service for Carmen Boutwell. They are cousins. Carmen Boutwell and Teresa are cousins. Yeah. Kind of distant, I think, but cousins. Who would I bet? Well, I guess I have to say the person who I don't know who they are yet. The person harassing Teresa. The person that had motive. Well, at least another person that had motive. I really want to know who that was. Tom Pierce truly seemed concerned with whatever he saw taking place with Teresa on the phone dealing with this person harassing her. That troubles me a lot. What was the most interesting? Well, possibly the one where she said that where she said that the blazer had been crushed. But we can switch over to Zellner right now, actually. We can switch over to her Twitter feed and we can look at a few things. Doesn't think too much. No, she doesn't. Absolutely. She doesn't think too much of Kratz at all. So we're going to switch over to the Zellner Twitter feed now. All right, there we go. So this is basically just Zellner's Twitter feed from today. And you can see, like, it's saying, like, these are from 9 hours ago, basically, from around 10 o'clock today. So, this one here was really good here. So, it's from Lily Allen, saying, why hasn't Zellner Law tested the paint on the headlight? Not, which I think what she means is the blinker light, with the car blocking the way to see if it's a match. And am I missing something? So, what Lily's asking about is there was that smudge on the blinker. Like you could see in the picture, the blinker was thrown in the back of the RAV4, and you could see on it there was a smudge, like a brownish smudge that looked very similar to the color of the paint that was of the Pinto that was blocking that back entrance to Avery Salvage. And so this person's asking, why can't Zellner, why can't you get that and test it? And so Zellner answers, we requested the headlight for testing from the state. They disagreed that it was relevant. That is an issue that is pending before. Okay, so maybe it was the headlight. Sorry, that is an issue that was pending before the Wisconsin Appellate Court. We would test the headlight for any substance of interest. You're not missing a thing. So basically, she's waiting to get her hands on that because she wants to prove that it bumped into that Pinto that was blocking the way to get in the back way through Avery Salvage. So that's an interesting thing. Oh yeah, when he broke down and everything, that was hard. And then you know what else it was hard for me to watch when it comes to Al, real quick, just to branch off real quick. When it came to Alan, to watch when he was working in the shop, they were filming them in the shop or whatever, and so you saw that Alan was in there doing some work, and you seen whenever he was trying to lift some of the heavier stuff that he was just struggling with it, and I was just so I felt for him, and I see he's getting older, and it was just, but I also loved it because he actually picked up those heavy things and he managed to get them and chucked them into the bins that they needed to get chucked into. So I also was impressed with what he was able to do at his age. So yeah, that was another thing about Alan that really impressed me. Poor Monda, yeah. Let me see. Okay, so that's just going on its own. Okay, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. I'll have someone start a GoFundMe for the parents. Well, you know what else you could do if you want to help them is you could buy the "We All Live on Avery Road" T-shirts that they're selling now. You can I'll get you guys a link. I'll leave you a link in the information below. But they are now selling the "We All Live on Avery Road" T-shirts if you're interested, and they look really cool. So I'll leave you guys a link, and all the profit from that goes to the yard. It goes to those T-shirts below. I'd love to see Zellner and Kratz face to face as well. No, I don't think so. But he has been losing his hearing, and he's very much hard of hearing. He doesn't hear very well anymore. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and move back to the Zellner's Twitter feed here. So there was a lot of them here that were, I found it funny that a lot of what she was doing here in some of these questions was correcting some of the things that people were thinking. you know, because like she wanted to correct like false thinking. So when she was fielding questions of where people were saying something that she didn't necessarily, that she wasn't necessarily trying to say, so she wanted to make it clear. So she was using this as an opportunity to clear up like myths and false information as well, which I thought was pretty cool. But here we had Nick Tabar. Was there any order to how the Avery lot was sorted? Does it make sense where the RAV4 was parked? Avery's made it sound like they had a method of sorting the cars around. Would be interesting if RAV4 was not where it should have logically been, and it certainly wasn't. And she tells him right now here, basically, the only thing that makes sense about where the RAV is parked is that it was towed into the Avery lot and left pointed in the opposite direction of the other cars and too close to the car next to it for a driver to exit. So, right? Because if it had been driven up there, the driver basically would have been leaving themselves no room to exit after parking it the wrong way. Whereas if they went and parked it up there the right way, the passenger side would have been against the cars and the driver would have been able to step out easily. Right? So, really, that's what's so really funny. So that's a really funny answer that she had there. Yeah, it was sorted in a certain way, and that's what she's getting at there. She's saying, yes, all of the cars that were there were all going one way. The RAV4 was parked the opposite direction, covered with sticks, a hood, whatever. Okay. Do you know that we as humans, we just naturally, like by instinct, play the what looks different here game? We just naturally, our eyes are drawn to the thing that stands out and looks different. The RAV4 is the epitome of that. The RAV4 and the way that the way that it sat on the Avery yard, it was parked in the opposite direction. It was parked, it had sticks and a hood and things all over it that no other car had. Hello, sore thumb. Yeah, so that's I thought that was a particularly good question. So there's a lot of stuff, and I encourage, you guys can go to your own Twitter and you can go to Kathleen Zellner's page and you can go through these yourself. So here we had Nicholas Rudy. Is there a possibility that the same agreement that made the West Memphis 3 get released can be used to get Steven free? To which Kathleen Zellner says, everybody pay attention, we would never agree to an Alford plea. I have never agreed to an Alford plea for any of my exonerated clients. And basically, she doesn't intend to start now. So, I really liked that one. That was a particularly good one. Let's see here. Oh, I know this guy. So, isn't it odd that the bullet item FL is on top of the concrete dust and seems to have repelled all dust from jackhammering the crack in the floor? To which she says, absolutely, you're very observant. So that's, you know how I feel about that stupid bullet. So let's see, IG at Sticky Lauren. Have you had any communication with Teresa Halbach's family? None. And it is understandable that it is too painful for them to consider that the wrong people may be in prison for Teresa's murder. And that I agree with. I agree. It would be painful for them to consider that. They may eventually come to that on their own, but it's better to be left for them to get there on their own than for Zellner to try to intervene and try to coax them or push them before they're ready to accept that maybe the law enforcement in the area got it wrong and maybe did their loved one an injustice. So let's see. So there was a bunch here, and like I said, there was the one that mentioned the fact, like I said, that that Bobby's Blazer had been crushed, and I just thought that was terribly interesting. Unfortunately, I was working at the time, wasn't able to. Here's a point I want to make: the car being covered up in the way that it was, it looked like many people Ellie, maybe I'll grab something and put it around. Yeah, exactly. It looks, yeah, it sticks out. Like, yeah, totally. It was, I'm sure somehow whoever did that thought we're hiding it. But, I mean, that's ridiculous. It's like I said, we all naturally, our eyes naturally just play, you know, what looks different here. Our eyes will always gravitate to the thing that looks different. So, so here's actually a good question. So, if the appeal to the appellate court fails, what happens next? We'd appeal that decision to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. If we've developed new evidence, we'd refile at the trial court level in Wisconsin. AEDPA is a big deterrent to filing in federal court, as you can see, given the outcome of Brendan Dassey's case. Exactly. That's why, folks, by the way, I have not mentioned AEDPA in this video yet, but trust me, we all need to be getting very vocal about AEDPA and getting it amended so that it only applies to terrorists and those who get the death penalty. That's who it's meant for. That's who it was. I mean, that's who it was meant for. So why in the hell did the rest of Americans get thrown into that? So we really, really seriously, that's something we all need to keep in our minds. If you know, if you don't feel like you can really do anything about it, then you should at least be aware of it and be able to talk about it with people intelligently and what the downfall is of it and why it should apply to the people it was meant to apply to and not the rest of us. So I can't say enough about that. Can maintain your innocence? Not really. I mean, do you think that Michael Peterson's having a great life right now? He's not. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really, I mean, I think an Alford plea kind of helps, but I think it's minimal. So, I'll go ahead and switch back to me now at this point. Hello. Okay. So, yeah, the way that the en banc, I mean, and the en banc, which I can't say this enough, Brad Schimmel calling for the en banc review was a Hail Mary. It was like a Hail Mary move. You know? He was like, is there anything I can try before SCOTUS, before the Supreme Court of the United States? Is there anything I mean, it's literally a Hail Mary. And the fishiness of Judge Posner stepping down when Judge Posner did seems odd, because it seems fairly probable that Judge Posner would have went Brendan's way, and in case of a tie, Brendan would have won because he had already won twice previously. So, yeah, the whole en banc thing is fishy. Plus, like I said, the way that they represented the control question in their decision, just, you know, the whole thing just stinks and bugs me. And I just don't like it. Stephen won't do. Oops. Stephen won't do an Alfred plea anyways. Yeah, Stephen wouldn't. Stephen himself wouldn't do that. So, Dimon Eccles got out because of the Alfred plea. Yes, he got out, and from what I understand, they had troubles with that. Even with the Alford plea, if I remember correctly. The damn Hamilton's infuriating. Yeah. Have those of you who hadn't heard the oral arguments for the en banc, have you gone down on my channel and found the oral arguments? If you haven't, do so. They're, I mean, very, very interesting. Very interesting to listen to Luke Berg from the state say things like, it strains credulity. Oh, God, that guy cracks me up. He's a piece of work, but he cracks me up. But no, if you guys haven't, check it out. I also have the oral arguments for the 3-judge panel. When it was just the 7th Circuit, just the 3-judge panel. I also have those oral arguments. You can find those on my channel as well. So you can find the 3-judge panel oral arguments, and you can find the en banc oral arguments if you want. Can you talk more about the control question in Brendan's case? Really? You don't know that much about it? That's like, my friends tease me because that's like, what I talk about too much on my channel. But yeah, sure. The control question is a question that was conceived by Tom Fassbender and Mark Wiegert to be asked to Brendan. That was basically, they were basically telling him something false. So they made up the fact that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach that she didn't have. She didn't have that. But they said she did to Brendan. At first, Brendan, when they ask him, do you remember her having a tattoo on her stomach? Brendan says, and basically kind of gives them the answer that they want. But I feel like Tom Fassbender felt like it wasn't like a definitive no, so he pushes a little harder and he goes, do you disagree with me when I say that? And upon him asking it that way, it puts Brendan into defense mode. And he immediately says no. And so he's basically saying, no, I don't disagree with you. Basically, I'm agreeing with you that Teresa Halbach had a tattoo that Teresa Halbach did not have. So that's the problem with the control question, because the state and now the on-bank majority are both representing that as a fact that Brendan was resisting officers. That is absolutely not proof of Brendan resisting officers. It is absolutely proof of the opposite of that. It is absolutely proof of Brendan flip-flopping, absolute proof that he is malleable and suggestible in the hands of these officers. That's what it's proof of. And somehow they're able to flip it around and basically say it's the opposite. And it's like nobody cares. Like it doesn't seem to raise an eye until I come along. So, I don't know. Anyway, so that's what the control question is. For those who say SAIG, they also have say he was meticulous with removing all of his and TH's fingerprints, but left blood. Right, exactly. It's ridiculous, that Stephen would be. I like how Zellner did it in her first post-conviction motion, where she talked about Stephen going from idiot to savant, idiot to savant, idiot to savant, according to the prosecution's narrative. Brendan said no, but I don't know what it is. Brendan clearly adopted the suggestion. Yeah, absolutely, Thomas. He absolutely agreed with a fake fact and proved exactly how suggestible he was, not how resistant he was. So, they needed to question the detectives about the interrogation. Oh, absolutely. Dude, Wiegert and Fassbender are going to be the poster children for how not to interrogate a juvenile, particularly a mentally limited one, going forward in the future. You'll probably be able to look up, open a dictionary and look up, coerced confessions of juveniles, and you'll see a picture of those two. What made me mad is they used Brendan saying he raped her. Yeah, they used Brendan to get the narrative. They fed it to him. He fed it back and whatever, and then they're like, there we go, we got it. And yeah, and it all comes from them. It's their own fantasy. I didn't realize the car was clean of prints. No, they did have, she said there's 8 prints that they got. There's 8 prints that they got, and one of the tweets covered this, that those prints did not match Stephen or Brendan. They were somebody else's. You could look at the pics Teresa has done in the past, how many pics she took of each car, then create a timeline between Bobby's scene. Yeah, that's true. But I can't imagine it's going to be somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute and a half, which is not enough time to take a shower, still, in my mind, and then get dressed. So, I don't know. Said only the killer would know, so it's proof that he's telling the truth. So, I gotta say, the other last thing I wanted to talk about was, towards the end of this little thing with Zellner today, people were asking her, are you going to do this again, or are you going to do this again? And she said, if there is a demand. Well, I can tell you, there was a demand, because I'll tell you what, I sent one tweet and got a response to that. So I got to imagine there's a lot of other tweets that got sent that didn't get answered. So I think the demand is there. I think, judging by this, there's so many tweets. She managed to answer so many questions in an hour. I got to imagine there was a heck of a lot of interest. So I'm hoping she's going to do this again, but I'm personally hoping she's going to do it on a weekend. That's what I'm truly hoping, because it's hard for me to go. I mean, I would have loved it if I had been off work today and could have popped on Netflix, and opened up Twitter and just been like, all dun, 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 dun. I mean, that would have been awesome, but I had no idea. And it's so funny because I had Monday off. I had yesterday off. Had she done this yesterday, it would have been beautiful. But so I'm hoping she's going to do the next one on a weekend, so that those of us 9-to-5ers who are diehard supporters can get in and take part on that too. Yeah, well, Ryan's definitely, there's a lot of suspicious stuff about Ryan. I mean, I got 3 different videos about him. Like I said, Ryan Hillegas is quite a suspicious fellow. Ryan Hillegas is dodgy as hell. And then when Zellner filed her motion for post-conviction relief, I made another one called Ryan, You Got Some Splaining to Do. And that was all regarding him talking about Teresa had claimed that the broken blinker light on her insurance and gotten a lump sum and just hadn't gotten it fixed. So the Ryan, You Got Some Splaining to Do was about that stuff. So yeah, he's very suspicious. There's all kinds of suspicion that follows him, and he's not addressing it. He's just continuing to try to hide under a rock. They don't have prints from Scott, I believe. I don't believe they have prints from Scott or DNA from Scott to be able to know that. Lori. I haven't heard that about Scott. Yeah, that's what I'm basically saying. I don't think they have prints. Love the Ryan Hillegas videos. Thank you. Who released that info about the print? I saw that. It was in one of the tweets today, I believe. One of her answers. Was TH a runner or was the fact suppressed? I saw her with track records in Chilton. Could be. Something about my callback ain't right. Yeah, well, he's always bothered me a little bit too. But I stay away from Mike Halbach because he's a direct member of Teresa's family, so he gets a free pass. The Ryan Hillegas moving into her place afterwards is absolutely bad form. Foul. Just not good, not cool at all. I'm glad KZ put Scott and Bobby on the notice. They need to be in pressure. Yeah, well, I know everybody feels very strongly about this, so I try not to bar anybody from their feelings. So I understand exactly how you feel. Is Gary Hallbach on the Chilton Fire Department related? I don't know. There's no explaining away the day planner. The day planner thing is very, how the hell Ryan ended up with that is a problem for Ryan. Certainly. So. Zellner found out about the prints that weren't matched. She found out a bunch of people's prints weren't taken. Yeah, exactly. Why was TH living with Scott? It was actually her parents' like guest house type thing, and Teresa was living there, and Scott was like the roommate. So, kind of the opposite way around. Why was Scott Blodorn living with Teresa Hallbach? No worries. Hey, that's the beautiful thing about these live videos. You can always go back and rewatch, and you can see the comments in real time, and so. I would say Scott and Bobby probably didn't know each other very well. But I would say that Scott was very much in love with Barb. I would say that he was quite smitten. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. I mean, I encourage you all to go check out Zellner's Twitter feed for yourself and look at some of the things that were said. But as for me, I'm going to get back to the Dodger game. I went ahead and took a break from the Dodger game so that I could come here and put a spotlight on this, what Zellner did today, because it was so brilliant. Basically, that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to bring it to a close here within the next couple minutes. Maybe Ryan was banging Teresa's roommate. Well, Teresa's roommate was his best friend. Teresa's roommate, Scott Bladorn, was Ryan's best friend. In fact, Ryan probably had reason to be pissed at Scott because Scott slept with Teresa. But anyways, that's here nor there, and drama, gossip, soap opera crap. I know you disagree, and I love you anyway. However, the best place to hide is in plain sight. Yeah, okay. Well, possibly. Thank you, Joe's Classic Video Games. I hadn't seen you in a while, Joe. I'm glad to see you, buddy. Scott and Bobby were lying about all that stuff. Everything where they hunted, all that. Okay. And a lot of people believe that. I wonder if we spend more time with hippies with Scott Bladorn. Possibly. That's cold, though. Justin Avery is cold. You're welcome, Corey. I love it. I'm going to create as much chatter, help create as much chatter as possible. You can share these videos with people. When you hear that they've watched MAM or they've watched the second season, you can share this stuff with them. Share my videos, just share my channel with them and let them find the videos there on their own, whatever, all that. Share my Twitter handle. So I mean, all that. I'm here to create awareness, and if everything I do helps you create awareness, then awesome. Then it makes it all worthwhile. Go suck. No way. Go blue. Go blue crew. Good night, guys.